Have you ever felt an inexplicable shiver down your spine as you delve into the forgotten corners of a dusty old VHS tape? Picture this, a world that's just a bit off kilter, where the familiar becomes strange and the mundane turns menacing. This is the essence of analog horror, a genre that digs deep into our primal fears, using the grainy, distorted aesthetics of vintage media to create a sense of unease. Analog horror is like a ghost story told through an old television set, an eerie narrative hidden in the static. The charm of the VHS aesthetic, with its glitches and ghosting, amplifies this uncanny atmosphere. It's the crackle in the audio, the fuzziness of the visuals, the sudden distortions that make your heart skip a beat. This is a journey into the uncanny, the disturbing, the outright terrifying. So buckle up and hold on tight. Prepare to journey into the eerie world of analog horror, where nothing is quite as it seems. Our fascination with the macabre is as old as civilization itself, and the roots of analog horror lie deep in our collective past. In the early days, the origins of analog horror can be traced back to the shadowy corners of literature and cinema. The grainy black and white images of early cinema were a perfect breeding ground for stories that unsettled and intrigued. These elements gave birth to a genre that reveled in the undefined, the obscure, the eerie. It was during the golden age of Gothic literature in the late 18th and early 19th centuries that the genre began to take shape. The works of authors such as Edgar Allan Poe and Mary Shelley were filled with themes of the uncanny and the supernatural, setting the stage for the horror genre as we know it today. Yet it was not until the 1980s, with the advent of home video technology, that analog horror truly found its footing. This was a time of VHS tapes and static-filled television screens, a time when technology brought the world into our living rooms, and with it, an array of fears and anxieties. The VHS tape, with its grainy texture and inherent imperfections, became the perfect medium for analog horror. The distortions and glitches inherent in this medium added a layer of authenticity to the horror, making it seem all the more real, and thus all the more terrifying. This was the era of video nasties, of late-night, low-budget horror flicks that combined the familiar with the uncanny to create a sense of unease. The boundaries between reality and fiction blurred, and the horror we observed on those flickering screens seemed to seep into our very homes. As the sun began to set on the era of analog media, the digital age was dawning. Yet, instead of fading into obscurity, analog horror found new life. It embraced the digital while still holding on to its analog roots, creating a unique blend of old and new. As the sun set on the era of analog media, a new dawn was breaking for horror enthusiasts. The 21st century ushered in a digital revolution, but analog horror refused to fade into obscurity. As we entered the new millennium, technology advanced at a rapid pace, bringing us into the age of digital media. But in this sea of pixels and binary codes, analog horror found its way to adapt and thrive. This tenacious genre has proven that the old can coexist with the new, and even flourish in the face of change. In the hands of creative minds, the distinct aesthetics of analog formats like VHS and cassette tapes have been reimagined and reproduced using modern technology. Filmmakers and artists have harnessed this power to create works that invoke nostalgia while delivering a unique brand of terror. It's a curious blend of the past and the future, where the grainy footage of yesteryears meets the high-definition capabilities of today. And what role has the internet played in this? Well, it's been instrumental. The World Wide Web has become a global stage for analog horror, its corners brimming with grainy footage and eerie soundscapes. It's a place where creators can share their work with the world, reaching audiences that span the globe. Moreover, the internet has become a breeding ground for analog horror communities, where enthusiasts can gather to discuss, dissect, and delve into this genre. It's a space that fosters creativity and encourages exploration, where the past can be relived, reimagined, and reinvented. And so the evolution of analog horror continues, undeterred by the passage of time or the advancement of technology. This genre, born from the relics of a bygone era, has found a way to remain relevant, and resonate with audiences in an age dominated by the digital. It's a testament to the enduring power of nostalgia, the allure of the uncanny, and the timeless appeal of a good scare. In the world of analog horror, the past is never truly dead. It's merely waiting to be rediscovered. What is it about analog horror that continues to captivate us in an age of high-definition graphics and virtual reality? This question, my friends, is a riddle wrapped in a mystery, bound by the eerie tape of the unknown. Today, we delve into the allure of analog horror. At its core, analog horror is a master of manipulation. It toys with our emotions, evoking a powerful sense of nostalgia. The grainy footage, the distorted audio, they transport us back to simpler yet unrefined times. We're reminded of the days when technology was a burgeoning field, filled with promise and potential, yet also fraught with uncertainty. This harks back to our childhood fears, to the bogeyman under the bed, to the shadows that danced on our walls in the moonlight. It's a potent cocktail of fear and familiarity that keeps us coming back for more. But nostalgia isn't the only psychological trick up analog horror's sleeve. It also triggers the uncanny valley effect, a phenomenon where something seems almost but not quite human. The distorted faces, the strange movements, they're eerily similar to our own, yet just alien enough to make us uncomfortable. This discomfort heightens our sense of fear, making the experience all the more chilling. Furthermore, analog horror taps into our fear of the unknown. The grainy footage, the static-filled audio, they mask details, leaving much to our imagination. Our minds are left to fill in the blanks, often conjuring up imagery far more terrifying than anything explicit. It's a testament to the power of suggestion and the monsters that lurk in the corners of our minds. Lastly, the tactile nature of analog media adds to its appeal. There's a physicality to it, from the hum of a projector to the clatter of a film reel. This tangible aspect makes the horror feel more real, more immediate. It's as if the terror is just a touch away, lurking in the static, waiting to reach out from the screen. Analog horror reminds us that sometimes the monsters of our imagination are far scarier than anything we can see with our own eyes. So, the next time you find yourself drawn to the grainy allure of analog horror, remember it's not just about the scares, it's about the psychological journey. Although analog horror may seem like a niche genre, its influence can be felt throughout popular culture. Let's take a walk down the shadowy corridors of celluloid and digital media, where analog horror has left its indelible footprints. From film to television and to the boundless expanse of the internet, the eerie charm of analog horror has been incorporated into mainstream horror, transforming and indeed enhancing the genre as a whole. Think about the classic horror films of the 70s and 80s. The grainy texture of the film, the flickering light, the distorted sound. These elements lend an uncanny sense of realism that plunges the viewer into a world of terror and suspense. This aesthetic, with its roots in analog horror, has been adopted and adapted by countless filmmakers, adding an extra layer of dread to their cinematic nightmares. On the small screen too, analog horror has found its way into our living rooms. Television series that play with the tropes of found footage and broadcast interruptions have taken a page out of the analog horror playbook. These shows, with their enigmatic narratives and chilling visuals, have tapped into a primal fear, the fear of the unknown that is so central to the analog horror experience. The digital realm is no stranger to analog horror either. Online content creators have cleverly used the genre's stylistic elements to craft spine-chilling narratives that blur the line between fiction and reality. Internet horror series employ the aesthetic of grainy video footage and distorted audio to create an immersive and unsettling viewing experience. And let's not forget, the genre's influence extends beyond visual media. Literature, video games, music, all have been touched by the spectral hand of analog horror, shaping their narratives and aesthetics in subtle yet impactful ways. From grainy VHS tapes to cryptic internet videos, analog horror continues to haunt our collective consciousness. And as long as we crave the thrill of the uncanny, the spine-chilling allure of the unknown, analog horror will continue to shape, influence, and terrify us through popular culture. As we stare into the flickering screen of a vintage television set, We can't help but wonder, what does the future hold for analog horror? Consider this: the raw, unfiltered terror of analog horror, coupled with the immersive power of virtual reality. Imagine, if you will, being thrust directly into the grainy, distorted world these films so expertly craft. The potential for interactive narratives, too, is as enticing as it is terrifying. Could there be anything more chilling than having a direct hand in unfolding these eerie stories? The beauty of analog horror lies in its adaptability. It's a genre that isn't afraid to evolve, to take on new forms and mediums, all while retaining the authentic, vintage charm that makes it so compelling. Its enduring appeal is a testament to its power to captivate, to unsettle, to thrill. As we venture into the unknown, one thing is certain: analog horror will continue to chill our bones and captivate our imaginations for years to come. Please like and subscribe. It only takes you a second but helps us out a lot.